Hi people, it's me Anja, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is inspired by Hadley in Bookland, and if you don't know who she is, she's a Canadian booktuber and I love her so much. She was the first booktuber that really introduced me to the community of booktube and what booktube is. So I really love her and I'm truly so grateful for her, and I'll leave her channel and her most recent video like this in the description below. So anyway, this video is like, I'm going to recommend a book to you, and then I'm going to recommend a similar book to you. So, if you didn't know, I read a lot. I read really frequently, a lot more often than like most people. I'm aware of this. It's like an anomaly. I am an anomaly, I know this. So I figured that this type of video would be very easy for me to film, since I read a lot. I read a lot of books that like sound the same, you know? So here we go. The first two books on this list are Raising Lumie, written by Joan Bauer, and Lila and Hadley, written by Keplinger. Both of these are middle grade fantasy. No, they're not fantasies. They're middle grade contemporaries, and they both follow a girl and a dog. I really liked both of these books. They're both so good. I really liked them. I think I rated them both at least 4 stars, if not higher. I don't really know. But basically, I enjoyed both of them. They're both really quite good. Middle grade is a rather like underrated genre here on BookTube, and more people should read it. And if you're interested in contemporary or dogs or girls, just read these two books because they're so good, so wholesome. I'll leave down below the 2 recent reads videos where I talk about these books in more detail, in case you're interested. I apologize in advance for the obscure lighting, but if you're new to my channel, this is just how it is when you film in the middle of the woods. Anyway, the next 2 books on this list are called Ember and the Ice Dragons, written by Fawcett, and Sequels of the Wildcats, written by Alexandra. These 2 books are indeed middle grade fantasies, and they're both dragon fantasies. I feel like dragon fantasies are often quite scarce on the BookTube, even though whenever I ask for dragon fantasies, people always say that they love them, but then they give me very few recommendations. So sometimes I wonder if people actually really love dragon fantasies, and sometimes I think not, because otherwise I would receive more recommendations than just Priory of the Orange Tree and House of Dragons. Anyway, these 2 books are so good and so empowering and wonderful, and I love like the characters in these books, and the plot and the world building. Like, it's so solid. Fawcett is like so good at writing middle grade, and I'm so excited to read The Language of Ghosts, which is out by the time that you watch this video, but I haven't read it yet because we all know that I am pre-filming 6 weeks in advance, so I haven't read it yet, but I hope to read it really soon, and I'm really excited. And Alexandra is a new author to me, but Sequels of the Wild Realm was 5 stars, and I love it so much, and it is so good. And yes, please read these 2 books. They're so good. The next 2 books on this list are called The Paper Girl of Paris and The Blackbird Girls. So these books are both historical fiction, and The Paper Girl of Paris is YA, and The Blackbird Girls is middle grade. But these 2 books remind me of each other because they both feature a main character in one storyline, and then their grandmother in a different storyline. So that's fun and good and fresh. So from what I remember, The Paper Girl of Paris is set in modern day and then World War II, and The Blackbird Girls is set in World War II and then the 80s near the Chernobyl explosion. So like I said before, these 2 books are both featured in a recent reads videos, so I'll leave those videos in the description below in case you want more detail, in which you probably will, because clearly I don't remember very much about the synopses of these 2 books, except that they both remind me of each other. Anyway, these 2 books are so good. I really like them. I think I rated both of them 4 stars because they're just so good. I love the world building, I love the plot, I love the characters, I love how both storylines weave together, because I feel like sometimes when you have two storylines that are set in two different time periods, you're sitting there wondering like how they're connected, and I really like that these authors connected them without like confusing me or anything. So yeah, please read these two books if you are interested in some historical fiction. The next two books on this list are called Worlds in Deep Blue, written by Cath Crowley, and The Last True Poets of the Sea, written by Julia Drake. Both of these books are YA contemporaries, and they both include lovely sibling relationships, great characters, a lovely romance. The Last True Poets of the Sea has a sapphic romance, which I really enjoyed, and such like a wonderful atmospheric setting. Like these two books are so good, and I think that Worlds in Deep Blue, well, I think that both of them may be debut novels. I don't know if that's correct or not, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't read as debut novels, you know? Like these two stories are so wonderful and lovely and just so incredible, and I'm so glad that I read them because they're just so good. And honestly, I haven't really heard a lot of talk about them. They're kind of underhyped, but they deserve so much more hype because they're just so lovely and absolutely wonderful and atmospheric, and clearly I can't stop talking about them, so please go read them. The last two books on this list are called Break the Fall and We Are The Wildcats. These two books remind me of each other because they're both YA contemporaries that deal with women's sports and toxic coaches. So I think that there's a trigger warning possibly on both of them for emotional abuse, so please keep that in mind. Anyway, the sports featured in these books are gymnastics and Break the Fall, and women's hockey and We Are The Wildcats. These two books are so good. They both gave me an insight as to what it's like to be a woman in said sport, and I don't really read sports books that often just because like if I don't play the sport myself, I don't really care because like, you know, I'm not really interested in sports that much. But these two books are so good, and I am so glad that I read them because there's so much more to these books than just the sports that they feature, you know? So anyway, I would recommend these two books because they're so good and so lovely, and there's so much more than just the sport. So don't be deterred if you are like me and you have absolutely no interest in sports at all. I feel like I've said the word sports like 15 times. So anyway, please read these two books. So in conclusion, most of these books I've mentioned before in recent reads videos, so I will be leaving said recent reads videos in the description below, because normally in those recent reads videos I talk about these books in more detail, because in a recent reads video, like I just read that book recently, so I am more familiar with it than in a recommended reads video, where, for example, in this video, it's been months since I've read any of these books. So, yeah. Anyway, like I said at the beginning of this video, since I read so frequently, this type of video is a video that I can film often. So there will probably be a part 2, a part 3, a part 4 to this new series. Again, big shout out goes to Haley in Bookland. Please go check out her channel in the description below. She is so wonderful and so inspiring, and I love her so much. So if you like this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you've read any of these books previously, if you too would recommend them. And yeah, thanks for watching, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye!